Almost an entire year ago, I started a brand new adventure. The idea was to play through classic World of Warcraft as a paladin, go through zone by zone, quest by quest, and do the entire adventure from start to finish. At the end of that first episode, I got to the end of Northshire and then just stopped playing. I did have every intention of seeing it through, but I guess other things just got in the way. I had some other projects I wanted to work on, some other stuff I wanted to talk about, and I let what I thought was a really cool idea slip through my fingers. So yet again, I'm going to start a new paladin, take him through Northshire and far, far beyond. And I hope you'll join me.
The noble humans of Stormwind are a proud, tenacious race. Though the recent invasion of the demonic Burning Legion decimated their sister kingdom of Lordaeron, the defenders of Stormwind stand vigilant against any who would threaten the sanctity of their lands. Nestled in the foothills of Elwynn Forest, Stormwind City is one of the last bastions of human power in the world. Ruled by the Child King Anduin Wrynn, the people of Stormwind remain steadfast in their commitment to the Grand Alliance. Backed by their stalwart allies, the armies of Stormwind have been called away to fight the savage horde on distant battlefields. With the armies gone, the defense of Stormwind now falls to its proud citizens. You must defend the kingdom against the foul mongrels that encroach upon it, and hunt down the subversive traitors who seek to destroy it from within. Now is the time for heroes. Now humanity's greatest chapter can be told.
I do love the intro cutscenes for each of the races in this game, and this one really does set the scene as to what we'll be doing and who we'll be facing in the future. But as you may have seen, the sun is coming down, and I do think I should provide a bit more context. The world of Warcraft is huge, and I'd like to fill in more of the blanks and give a stronger idea of why we're here and where we're going to go to in the future. At the moment, we're in Northshire Valley, or Northshire Valley, take your pick. It's a really beautiful small area cloistered away up in the mountains, and speaking of cloistering, its main feature is its Abbey. A shire in the real world is an administrative region, or, well, a county. And though they play a bit more loosely with the term in Warcraft, it's still a very sensical way of separating the areas out. A large amount of the human kingdoms in Azeroth are made up of shires. Later on in this video, we'll be going south down to Goldshire, and then eventually to places like Darkshire and Lakeshire. In those cases, it's the name of the settlement itself, instead of the area. And so I guess up here where we've started the game is the only place where the name properly makes sense. But anyway, this place, and really all of the places around it, are important because of what happens in Warcraft 1, where it all gets burnt down. In Warcraft 1, the story is split into two halves, the human and orc campaigns. Orcs invade from a portal far to the east, and the humans of the Kingdom of Stormwind, where we are right now, try their best to fight them off. In the human campaign, the humans win, and in the orc campaign, the orcs win. And with the release of Warcraft 2, they went with the orc campaign as the canon Warcraft ending, meaning all of this got leveled to the ground. In recent decades, it's clear that the humans have done a great job at rebuilding. But ever since then, the orc has been the natural enemy of the human. The orcs lead the Horde, the enemy faction in the game, and as almost all of Stormwind's soldiers are out fighting them, trouble has crept back in at the seams of Stormwind, including, importantly, this valley. Even though it's nestled away from the rest of the Kingdom of Stormwind, trouble has found its way at the Abbey's doors, and we've volunteered to help. The valley's most pressing problem are the kobolds that have infested the forest right outside the front door. Another problem is that as all the hunters have been conscripted to the war effort, the local wolf population has been getting out of control and starting to cause problems. One of the few local hunters still around, Egan Peltskinner, wants a load of their meat to cook some meals. And so we can go out, kill some wolves and some kobolds, and then return to both him and the marshal with news of our progress. Handing in some wolf meats to Egan will get us one of 2 rewards, our first rewards in the game, neither of which are particularly amazing, but are both seemingly made from the wolves that we just killed. One of the kobold vermin drops a nice robe skirt we can use. It's an upgrade, so I'll take it. And when we return to the Marshal to show off our progress, he says that there's a letter for us from Brother Samuel here in the Abbey. He says that he's been given the authority from the Abbey and therefore the church to train us as a paladin. When we go inside and speak to Brother Samuel, he tells us that they will be here a while training. Eventually we'll get to see the rest of the Kingdom of Stormwind, and he calls us a Knight of the Silver Hand. The Knights of the Silver Hand are the military branch of the church, who we seemingly have already been inducted into. The Silver Hand were major players during the events of Warcraft 3, the RTS game set before World of Warcraft. During that game, the northern human kingdoms, most of the human population of the world, were all killed off. The paladins that didn't die during this time went off to form splinter factions, which from my understanding have no direct affiliation with the church. It's in Stormwind and partly in Ironforge where the religion spread that the Silver Hand and the church as a whole have survived this whole time, though in a much smaller state than before the scourge of Warcraft 3. And so, though there aren't that many paladins around anymore, we're a part of the new breed, and it's our job to help bring the paladins back to the forefront. Brother Samuel also tells us about relics of the light. They're usually in the form of a librum or book or manuscript, and can give us access to new abilities. One of them was stored in this abbey's archives, but it's recently been stolen by Defias bandits, who are now east across the small stream behind the abbey. We will work to getting that librum back, but for now, let's continue helping the Marshal with his kobold problem. It turns out that the local kobold manifestation is centered around Echo Ridge Mine up in the hills just past the abbey, and that in order to get rid of the kobolds, we need to eliminate their presence there too. After successfully dealing with the threat, McBride thanks us for our efforts and asks us to report to Goldshire, but our business isn't done here just yet. His deputy, Willem, has more news about the Defias across the river. They're just bandits, but not like any other. They've taken to calling themselves the Defias Brotherhood and wear red across their body and especially as masks over their face. After dispatching quite a few of them, we not only find bandanas, which the deputy wanted as proof, but also that missing librum that was stolen. I'll talk about this more, especially at the end of the video, but I'm actually playing on Season of Discovery servers. For the uninitiated, just know that it's mostly just classic World of Warcraft. But those who do know quite a bit about World of Warcraft, that this librum is a part of the runes mechanic added by those servers. Items like this librum will lead to runes, and runes, when etched onto a certain piece of gear, will give access to new abilities. Handing in those bandanas will get us a new weapon upgrade. You can choose from one of 5, but I picked the two-handed hammer, the signature weapon of many paladins. And that librum unlocks the ability for us to use Crusader Strike, an extra attack for paladins. Crusader Strike was initially added in the Burning Crusade, the first expansion for the game, and most of these runes added do something just like this. They backport a certain ability that was added years in the future to the original version of World of Warcraft. We're also led to do a couple of other things. The first is with Millie Osworth. Millie helps run the vineyards just outside of the Abbey across the river, and since the Defias have come, she's not been able to collect any of her harvest, so our job is to go back out there to the harvest field and go collect them ourselves. And furthermore, the deputy has a bounty on Garrick Padfoot, presumably the leader of the Defias here in the valley. We have to kill that man and take his head and bring it back to him for a reward. Though, of course, violence is incredibly integral to the playing of this game, this is the first time where we've explicitly killed someone. He goes down quite easily, and we remove his head just like that. It's almost weird how something so brutal can be done with so little ceremony, especially from a paladin like us. So we get the reward from handing in their head, and also from handing in Millie's harvest we get a grape manifest, which we're supposed to take to Brother Neil's up at the top of the Abbey up the stairs. I have before mentioned in a previous video how I find these stairs and this Abbey model really cool. I don't really know what it is, there's some novelty about the art style and this winding staircase. And it's kind of surprising that this model is never used again, at least I can't remember a time it was used. As a reward for sorting out the harvest, Niels will either give us the iconic wine-stained cloak or a new belt, and I picked the belt because it's an upgrade.
Safe travels.
So, it's time to go back to the Marshal and take the report from him to Goldshire and move on and graduate from the Valley and properly start our career as an adventurer and a paladin.
Be careful.
Oh, never mind, inventory full. Inventory management, especially before you get any bags in this game, is horrendous.
What are you looking
So
for?
I went and sold all my junk, and then I went off to Goldshire.
Go with honor, friend. What can I do for you?
There's a quest here at the fountain just on the way out from someone advertising the local inn in Goldshire, the Lion's Pride. It's just
See
a
you around.
breadcrumb to make sure you go the right way. And after that is, well, I don't know why you would make a tier list of the best walks in this game, but if you did, here is probably the best. First things first, let's report to Marshal Dugan, or Duggan.
King's
Dugan?
honor, friend.
I'm going to say Dugan, and hand in those documents we were told to deliver. By the way, you can actually sneak a peek at those documents, and it is, as was described, a full report and threat evaluation of what's been happening in the valley. And plus, the PS of this document is a commendation to us, awarding us status as deputy in the Stormwind army. We're now no longer just volunteering to help, it's now our job to make sure that the locals are safe. Our first assignment is to scout out the nearby Fargo Deep mines to see if it's having the same infestation problems that Echo Ridge mine was having up in the valley. And this guy over here not only wants help collecting some gold dust from local kobolds, and is also very worried about a possible murloc problem in the area. We take this problem to the Marshal, and he says that if we want to find out if there is a problem, we should go east and talk to Guard Thomas by the bridge to Eastvale. But we'll do that later. This would be a good time now to visit the Lion's Pride Inn and not only claim our free food or drink, but also bind our Hearthstone to this place. So the Hearthstone is an item that every character in the game has. They get it from spawning in. And it will, on a 1-hour cooldown, take us back to an inn of our choice. Any innkeeper in the game can bind our Hearthstone to them, meaning that if we use it, we go there. Most people will set their Hearthstone to their capital city like Stormwind or Orgrimmar, but whilst leveling and staying in close-knit local areas and hopping from one to the other, like we're likely to do, setting it at the local inn is always a pretty good decision. Also in the Lion's Pride is this man here, William Pestle. With his brother, he runs an apothecary in Stormwind, and they could do with a lot of candle wax. Funnily enough, kobolds have large candles on their heads, so dealing with the local kobolds will also help this guy out. Okay, so that's all the local quests picked up. Let's go on to our first assignment to scout out the Fargo Deep mine, which is straight south of here. And long before even entering the place, we can see that there are kobolds everywhere. Once upon a time, I imagined that this place was full of miners digging up ore and fueling Stormwind's industry, but I assume all those people are now soldiers fighting on the front lines many, many miles away. And so all this empty industry are now the perfect habitats for creatures like kobolds. Now, I personally would technically take this as scouting out the mine, and that it's not very wise for a scout like us to play the hero. But in order to finish this quest, we have to scout this mine from the inside and properly get in there. And the fight to get in is slow and tough, as there are loads of kobolds. I mean, there were quite a few back in Echo Ridge, but nothing like this. So after scouting out the mine and getting enough gold dust for Remy and enough wax for William, we head back to Goldshire and tell Marshall the bad news. After hearing this, of course, he's concerned and then gives us a follow-up task to perform the same amount of reconnaissance on Jasperlode Mine, a mine quite far to the northeast of here, which may have shared the same fate. But we're not actually quite done with the area south of Goldshire, because there are a couple of people at Stonefield Farm nearby who need our help. The Brackwells, who own a farm quite far to the east of here, near Eastvale, have a prize-winning pig called Princess. Princess is huge and at night sneaks over towards Stonefield Farm and eats all their vegetables. Ma Stonefield seemingly doesn't believe in half measures. She wants you to head over there and kill it dead. I'm not quite sure whether it's appropriate for a deputy like us to take a job like this, but the money's good. On top of this, her sister has lost her necklace and thinks that Billy McClure took it. The McClures are a rival vineyard just east of Stonefield Farm, and we should go over and speak with Billy. This does seem more appropriate for a deputy. When we get to McClure Farm, there is an extra quest for us from Maybell. These two rival vineyards of Goldshire are like the rival houses in Verona, and for some reason, as a deputy, it's our job to help these two star-crossed lovers get together. When we deliver the love letter to Tommy Stonefield, he directs us to his grandma. She thinks that their freedom can be found in a potion brewed by William Pestle, who wants the wax from the kobold candles. So back at Goldshire, we can hand in the gold dust to Remy and the candles to William, and also ask William about how he can help us with the love affair. He says that he can make an invisibility liquor for Maybell so she can slip away from the vineyards and go to Tommy. But in order to do that, he needs some crystal kelp fronds. This kind of stuff usually grows in the ocean, and we're not close to the ocean. But murlocs do collect these fronds and keep them with them. And there are some murlocs hanging around in the local lake near Goldshire. After getting to the lake and bludgeoning a load of murlocs for their fronds, I realised that Jasperlode Mine, which we were given an assignment to scout out by the Marshal, is not too far away to the north, and so took us there as well. The mine, as was kind of expected, is also infested by loads of kobolds, including kobold geomancers, which is a really nice little detail that these mine and cave dwellers have developed their own kind of rock magic. It turns out though that it's not entirely kobolds that are infesting this mine, as right at the back are loads of huge venomous spiders, which have made short work of any of the kobolds who try to enter. Here is where we find our first rare in the game, and it's the leader of these spiders, Mother Fang. Mother Fang is not actually that hard to defeat and doesn't really drop great loot, but hopefully it's the first of many rare finds in this playthrough. Also at the back of the mine is a poisoned, dying, wounded adventurer. Thankfully, as a paladin, we've just recently unlocked the Purify spell and can cleanse the poisons off of friendly targets. If we do so to this adventurer, he's healed and becomes conscious again, and in his thanks, gives us our second rune. After, of course, I clear out my inventory again, because I've still not found any bags. This rune is the Rune of Aegis. Aegis. Aegis? Aegis. I'm going to say Aegis. After escaping the mine, I had a look at the tooltip, and it does a few interesting things, and it seems very tank-centric. But most importantly to, well, any paladin, is a 30% increase in block value, and since I've got no other runes to put on my chest anyway, it's a no-brainer. Back at Goldshire, Marshal Dugan is of course not happy with this news either, but has no further assignments. I'm assuming that as a mere deputy, it's not our job to clear out all those horrible kobolds and spiders. That'll be left up to top men. And heading back into the Lion's Pride to talk to William, after giving him the fronds, he will make for us the invisibility liquor. Back at the farms, we finally get to talk to Billy about the lost necklace, and he'll tell us, if we get him a pie, we need to get 4 chunks of boar meat over to Auntie Bernice at the other farm. That involves running around the forest and killing boar. I thought this would also be a good time to head east to kill Princess, and so let's take a stroll through the forest. Not too far eastwards is this strangely highly shaped hill, and after it, just down the slope, is a skeleton. In the remains of this adventurer, we sense a long-trapped spirit, unable to reach its final rest. And there's a hint here that if you were to cooperate with another player with healing abilities, you could help the spirit pass on. This is an addition added by Season of Discovery, and I remember it from launch night all that time ago. And remembering how it's done, I kind of walked right past it because I knew that a second person is required, and I don't see anyone else around here. It turns out though that now you can actually do the ritual alone and get this rune as a reward. I went back and did it later. After quite a long journey eastwards through Elwynn Forest, we eventually reached the Brackwell pumpkin patch, and in amongst all the pumpkins is Princess, an absolutely huge pig. Princess actually has a couple of bodyguards, her entourage, and after killing her and both of them, we can pick up Princess's collar as proof of our deed. Back westwards, we can talk again to Mabel McClure and actually give her that invisibility liquor that William Pessel made for her. And then off she goes, quest complete. Going up and down the forest a few times got us the boar meat that we need for that pie for Billy. And so we can complete this quest, and then hand over Princess's collar for that quest. The amazing feeling of doing a load of quest hand-ins all at once will never get old, will it? After we hand over the pie to Billy back at the McClure vineyard, he tells us where Benice's lost necklace is. Lost in Fargo Deep Mine, right at the back, to an especially nasty kobold, Goldtooth. So after fighting our way all the way through Fargo Deep Mine again and then back out and handing over the necklace, I do realise that to be efficient I probably should have done the whole pie quest first before ever entering the mine, but oh well. We've not been adventuring for long, but we've already saved Northshire Valley of its various threats, gone south to Goldshire, cleared out the local infestations, helped a couple in love, and a few things more, and we're already making a name for ourselves. We've done a great job, and as a newly appointed deputy of the Stormwind Army, we've really helped the lives of the local people. That being said, there's always so much more to do. We still need to head east to Eastvale and inquire with Guard Thomas near the bridge about a possible Murloc infestation. And right up the road from Goldshire is the city of Stormwind. Smith Argus, who is just opposite the Lion's Pride, wants us to go talk to Grimmond Elmore, a dwarf blacksmith up in the Dwarven district of Stormwind, because he might have some work for us. And on top of that, William Pessel actually has a shipment he needs bringing into Stormwind to his brother who runs the local apothecary. And you know what? After all this adventuring, I think we've earned a bit of a rest. Let's, if only for a short while, hang up the responsibilities of a deputy and enjoy the life of a tourist in the big city.
Boldened by the return of their heroic king, Varian Wrynn, the proud humans of Stormwind led the Alliance to victory in its war against the dreaded Lich King. While successful, the campaign in Northrend proved costly, and the humans now seek to bolster their strategic holdings throughout the world. Under Varian's daring leadership, humanity now braces itself for a renewed conflict with its perennial enemy, the Horde. Yet, as the great cataclysm rips across the world, familiar threats have once again arisen closer to home. It now falls to you to defend the kingdom and uphold the honor of humanity.
In what feels like an age later, a new recruit from Stormwind heads up to Northshire Valley. Previously, the kobold infestation and the defiers across the river proved to be tough problems for the adventurers of Northshire to crack. But now, during the time of the cataclysm, things are even worse. The orcs of the Blackrock clan and their goblin mercenaries have snuck in through the northern mountains and into the kingdom of Stormwind. Their wargs have conquered the local wolf population. The goblin mercenaries now sneak around what is now the boarded up entrance of Echo Ridge Mine, poised to attack the Abbey. And across the river are the Blackrock invaders who have set the forest ablaze. The stakes are higher than ever before. And yet again, we're a paladin, and yet again, it's our job to save the day. In the Elwynn forest of the original World of Warcraft, we're essentially battling what in the grander scheme of things are nuisances. But during the Cataclysm, everything's different. The war is on our doorstep, and everything has changed. The kobolds are gone, which is a bit of a shame. I like those guys. And Echo Ridge Mine has been completely boarded up. You can't go in there. Although I did see my first ever rare, Gug Fat Candle, a huge kobold, and I murdered him. I guess he was too big to squeeze through the tunnels whilst all the rest of his kind fled during the Blackrock invasion. Another cool change is that quests feel a little bit more diverse. For example, we're not just killing things with our hammer, we're putting out fires. And we'll do other cool stuff later on. It's quite interesting to take a look at the difference in scenery too. The Stormwind army set up a couple of tents, and some of the characters from the original Northshire Abbey are here too, only in different places and offering different quests. After thinning the enemy in a few different places around the Shire, we get to confront the leader of the invading Blackrock forces. His name is Kurtok the Slayer, and despite his intimidating looks and amazing metal-looking backdrop, he goes down quite quickly. It's important to note that though we are killing orcs right from level 1 and they're invading our lands, these orcs do not actually belong to the Horde. Or, at least, not the Horde that we think of when we think Horde. See, when the orcs invaded from the Dark Portal, they weren't necessarily one huge, uniform nation. The Horde was actually a confederation of many different clans. And after the events of the Warcraft RTS games, different clans had different fates. The Blackrock clan ended up in what is now Blackrock Mountain, and instead of joining the new Horde, the playable faction in the game, they were instead drawn into the Dark Horde, but that's a story for another day. To very quickly summarise though, they are not very nice people, and you can liken them more so to the Orcs of Lord of the Rings than you can to the playable Orcs of World of Warcraft. Once out of Northshire and after taking the walk down to Goldshire, I just noticed how more crazy everything looks, especially the players. Like, look at this guy with these two turtle pets where one's icy and one's fiery. That's so cool. And though in some areas things feel very different, in others things stay very much the same. My impression was that after the Cataclysm expansion, loads of the questing was completely overhauled, and there is some new stuff which I'll go over, but I'll be skipping stuff like the love story or killing Princess because, in essence, those things never changed. It seems canonically, all those years, no adventurers actually did that quest. Though I will note that, as well as moving Princess very close by to make the walking involved in the quest a lot shorter, they made Princess huge. I mean, she's very big in the standard World of Warcraft, but in this, look at how big she is. It's terrifying. So we kill a few kobolds, we get some crystal kelp fronds, we go scout out a couple of mines. Some things never change, but with the pace of the game sped up, it's not long before we reach the same chapter of our story as before, where it's time to go to Eastvale. Only this time, I'm not feeling the exhaustion and the need to go relax in a big city, and so we head east. And this time, as opposed to having to walk, we're given a ride by one of the Stormwind Army's horses. And that is going to be where I leave things for today, with Farwill the Bold going up to the city of Stormwind to enjoy some time off after some intense adventuring, and I guess Farwill the Brave heading eastwards to Eastvale to help solve the problems of the Cataclysm there too. Though this video is over, their journeys have only just begun, and I hope you stick around. Next time we'll be going east to Eastvale and west to Westfall, a place of hard times that has yet again fallen on even more hard times. So in this series I'm planning across Azeroth, I want this section at the end to be about community feedback and interactions with me, and also just going on tangents, things I'm interested in talking about that wouldn't fit into the video, or things I just plain forgot to talk about at the time. So if you want to send any messages in, either of course leave a comment on this video, or if you want to be immersive, send a message to Farwill on Wild Growth EU on the Season of Discovery servers. Okay, so this is a kind of mock FAQ section where I'm going to be making up questions that I think you'll ask to save you time later on down the road. Question 1. Add-ons. Which ones am I using? Why am I using them? Alright, so for starters, I'm going to be changing add-ons a lot throughout this playthrough because one of my favourite things to do in this game is to install and configure add-ons. There is something about it similar to, I don't know, creating a several hundred mod Skyrim mod list that I find incredibly satisfactory. In every video, I will be providing an up-to-date mod list, both for Season of Discovery and for retail. But I imagine most people inquiring about add-ons are specifically inquiring about this one that appears whenever I talk to an NPC. This is called Dialogue UI, and it's by someone called Peterodox. It is amazing, and now you know its name. And here's the second question. Why Season of Discovery? I'll go through the reasons why you shouldn't play on Season of Discovery first, and then talk about why I do for this playthrough. First off, it's kind of dead. Now, it's not dead. You'll see some people around, but it's nowhere near the popularity of any kind of fresh server with current content. They've stopped making content for Season of Discovery. It's essentially end of life, and I believe the developers are now working on what I imagine is going to be the next season, and have wrapped up work on Season of Discovery. These are very solid reasons not to play. There isn't a high population count, and it's at end of life. The reason I do, though, is because of its custom content that you can't get anywhere else. And I do firmly believe that a lot of the custom content in Season of Discovery is amazing. And whilst I can easily get footage for standard World of Warcraft content, the custom content only available on Season of Discovery is a lot harder for me to get footage for because I have to go level a paladin and get that footage. And this playthrough provides an amazing way to get that footage. There was very little of Season of Discovery's unique content in this video, but in the following videos, even the next one, that will change. And I hope to show everyone what these quests are like, and that they are quite well written and interesting, and provide strong rewards. There are several huge quest lines in Season of Discovery that rival and even surpass some of the quest lines I've covered on this channel so far. And it would be a massive shame if Season of Discovery servers got shut down and we lost that content forever without me being able to cover it and show everyone it. Another, more minor reason is that there is an XP buff. There's 50% more XP gain, and though that does mean I will outlevel some quests on my playthrough, it also means that I don't have to keep hopping between zones to get my XP up. In a typical playthrough, after doing maybe about half of Westfall, I would have to go over to the Dwarven or maybe even the Dark Elf areas, and whilst that makes complete sense for some level grinding, for an immersive story through like this, it would be incredibly unclean to be hopping between continents and very confusing. This way, I can do the quests at my own pace and go from zone to zone and have a more cohesive story overall, which I think is quite important to this new experience I'm making. Question 3. When Horde? Sometime, I'm not sure. I really need to start playing more Horde. I get criticised not playing enough Horde on this channel in a few of my videos, and it's true, I don't. And the Horde zones deserve the same amount of attention as I'm giving the Alliance zones. But Human is my favourite race, the Alliance is my favourite faction, and Paladin is my favourite class, additionally. And so if I'm going to do something like this, it's going to be with my best favourite foot forward. Okay, last question. Why not private servers? Now, I have mentioned Project Epoch and its cart system twice on this channel, on the most recent video before this one, and on my first ever video, and outside of that I have never brought up private servers, and I get asked about it probably at least once per video. I actually recorded an answer to this question a few days ago, but things have changed again in the private server scene. I had a detailed explanation of my exact thoughts and feelings towards private servers, and a short discussion on the legal and ethical nuance and all of that. But during the production of this video, a huge lawsuit and many individual cease and desists have all been sent out by Blizzard, and it looks as if they want the private server scene, at least within the Vanilla Plus category, shut down permanently, and so I don't see much point in talking about it. Though frankly, I'd become very jaded about the private server scene in general before all of this happened, and have made a decision not to really talk about them anymore. I have always been absolutely obsessed with modding video games, and I love the free and open nature of modding culture. It is my favourite subculture in all of gaming by far. And from a, I guess, game design point of view, I love some of the changes that a lot of these Vanilla Plus servers have been making. But I think that culturally, WoW modding has a serious problem with monetization. I think it's almost entirely unnecessary and it's very icky. And until there is some kind of cultural change or some alternatives in the private server scene, I'm staying well away from it from now on. Alright, that's me. Thank you to YouTube members Morian, Nightseeker, Patrick Manhora, Lewis H, Miffy, Hydroxyl, Edward Russellduck, XM Dobro Cortez, AC, Sad Scarecrow, Marked as Red, Jerry Freeman, Gwat Defook, Gaming Piper, Emma to the Max, Ryken, Andrew O'Connell, and Hervis Daubeny. Wow, I'm getting better at this. Goodbye.